Welcome back. We now want to wrap up our news review this morning, but of course we cannot do that without discussing some politics because it is election time. 130 days to the elections. What is happening in Jubilee? What is happening in NASA as well? What is happening in Jubilee, I can tell you, is that a number of individuals have apparently been summoned by the party's disciplinary committee over indiscipline, especially to do with violence witnessed at the election of county election board members in Nakuru, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, and here in Nairobi. What exactly will happen to those people, we just have to wait and see. What is happening on the other side, and that's also the top story on Citizen TV, and if my director could help me with that, is also headlining on both dailies. On the front page of the Standard, Kalonzo orders no NASA, that's a wiper ultimatum. On the Daily Nation, if I could read that one as it reads, it's NASA flag or nothing, warns wiper. So the story on Citizen TV, and we asked the question, is Kalonzo Musyoka filing notice for divorce from the National Super Alliance? Because a key ally of the Wiper Party leader has given NASA co-principals 7 days to name him the coalition presidential ticket bearer, or else Kalonzo will go it alone in the August election. Let's see this story by Francis Gashuri.
The NASA co-principals have used every public engagement to display their unity and commitment to a joint presidential bid in the August polls. But it seems it's not all rosy behind the scenes.
Anybody telling you different story that we are united, they are lying.
The bone of contention, according to Nyenze, is a memorandum of understanding entered into by Musyoka and ODM leader Raila Odinga just before the 2013 general election. In that agreement, Musyoka was reportedly to back Odinga's bid, and the ODM leader returns the favor in the next election.
The former vice president will not be deputy to anybody. We want ODM to honor the memorandum of understanding of 2013. If that is not honored, let's not waste a lot of time negotiating in NASA as to who the flag bearer would be.
With 130 days to the polls, Wiper is growing restless on NASA's choice of a flag bearer. Nyenze, who says he was speaking on behalf of his party boss, has given the Wiper coalition partners 7 days to name Musyoka as the NASA presidential candidate, or else.
If it's not Kalonzo, we'll go it alone.
Nyenze's fiery position mirrors Musyoka's recent sentiments on the intrigues in NASA over the coalition's flag bearer.
Now look at me, at 63 years of age. Why would I delay the decision to become president? Why? When you I want one person to convince me.
Sources at the Wiper National Executive Committee meeting that was chaired by Musyoka disclosed that the party was apprehensive over what its members term a deliberate delay in naming the NASA presidential candidate to make it impossible for any of the four principals to bolt out. The 2013 MOU, according to Odinga, was unimplementable since court did not clinch the presidency.
In the absence of that, forget about NASA. NASA could be Nyanza National Super Alliance. It will not be National Super Alliance.
The Wiper Executive Committee tried to play down Nyenze's exit threats, but affirmed his position that Musyoka was best suited to wrestle power from Jubilee.
What the task to Honorable Nyenze, Honorable Farah, and Honorable Mudama is deliver the ticket here to us. Negotiate to death if you must. Pitch the highest level of demand that is possible. You don't negotiate from a position of saying that you are willing to take second fiddle or third fiddle or whatever fiddle.
But the Amani Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi cautions that the NASA dream may abort due to infighting and deep-seated mistrust.
The main challenge that can lead to Mutungi Kuvunjike Mlangoni is if we do not manage our supporters and if we entertain a process that can undermine the unity of NASA.
Francis Gashuri, Public First News.
Straight by Francis Gashuri is what we want to discuss now. And of course, before we come to you, Senator Mutula Kalonzo, let me get the thoughts of this gentleman. Of course, Francis Nyanze, they may say he holds no substantive party position. He is the minority leader in the National Assembly. He is not someone to be dismissed. Yes, he's previously spoken about issues in NASA. He is the one who raised the issue of the MOU publicly by addressing the media. A few weeks later, yes, indeed, we discovered that, yes, it is true what he was saying. Now he says that his Wiper Party, and he insists, he's speaking for the party, that Wiper Party is giving NASA 7 days to actually declare Kalonzo Musyoka the presidential candidate or not. Yes, that MOU that was purportedly signed in 2013 has to be honored, and even went on to mention that if it's not honored, Wiper will go it alone. Yes, he said it. Should we dismiss what Bwana Nyanze is saying?
Well, I think you have heard me say here in this forum many times that NASA is work in progress, and work in progress can either produce a stillborn baby, or can produce twins or triplets. I think it's likely to produce triplets, from my own point of view, because Kalonzo is trying to be diplomatic, but the crunch has come where a decision has to be made whether Kalonzo is going to be the presidential candidate, or Kalonzo will be the presidential candidate, or Kalonzo will be the presidential candidate. There is no option. That is basically what you are hearing from them. So, in practical terms, what we are saying is this. This so-called super alliance, and now you can call it Nyanza Super Alliance, as Nyanza has said, it is an initiative that is meant to be a hoax, public relations. And there is one word I would like to use here, and that is duplicity. What we have been experiencing here is nothing than duplicity. Because, first of all, NASA was never involved in the drafting of the MOU. The MOU was drafted between Raila and Kalonzo. Now you have a third party. Whether there was an adoption, I mean, I'm sure Senator here will tell us, whether there was an adoption of the MOU by NASA, and hence Kalonzo argument that NASA has to endorse me, or by coming together, it meant that whatever initiative there was, or whatever agreement that was subsisting prior to NASA, and hence code, must be adopted by the NASA. They haven't quite said it. But what I'm looking at, I want you to listen to what Mheshimiwa Hassan Omar is saying there. He's saying there are 3 people in the negotiating table. And what they are saying is that up the game, it is us, not anybody else. Basically, he didn't use the word us, but that's basically what he meant. And for me, I also read a very, very weighty statement from Mheshimiwa Kalonzo when he says, at 63, you know what he's saying? Now, at 63, why should I wait to run for the president? Basically, what he's saying, if you read it, there is what he calls a subliminal message, is that I am 5 years down the road, I'll be how old? 68. And if I'm going to be 68, the game is over. Yes. I'm not likely to be a player as far as 2022 is concerned. It is my time or never. And that's basically what it is.
It's wipe or not.
Well, welcome, my friend, Senator Mutula Kalonzo. One, you know, 2 things. You know, if I was Kalonzo Musyoka, I would have been saying this with a hanger behind me with a red shirt hanging.
And are you suggesting that Kalonzo Musyoka is there to Jubilee?
And telling them that I'm not short of options. I want to also, on a light touch, assure my good friend Senator Mutula that I have shirts that will fit him in pure bright red so that he can come and we do what we should do best, build the country. But two things I want to say very quickly. One, I have said it before, I'll say it again. I believe personally, if I was to speak about NASA the way it is, the one person who can legitimately claim that he should be the flag bearer, notwithstanding any other peripheral negotiations that would accommodate anyone else, is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. He has every right to front that argument. He has been the longest serving guy in that particular place who has not taken a stab directly at the president. And he has been good enough all the time to play the nice guy. And I want to remind Kalonzo, because I know he watches. The time I met him on the street and we said hi, well, I almost told him, you know, it is said all the time, nice guys finish last. What does he want? What does he want to become?
Are you therefore saying, listen, that he should go it alone? Because if he comes to Jubilee, he will also not be running for president.
Listen, my brother, listen. I mean, you can fool me once, you can fool me twice, you can use me once, you can use me twice, but you cannot use me thrice and then expect to use me a full time. It's not fair. You know, if in the NASA game, and I have two versions of it, they are truthful about giving their ticket to anyone, Kalonzo would be the best person to give. Then they can play the side shows there and bring in either a person if they're going to put him together with either Rao or fine. But he has to be running in front. That's my version. But my second version is this, and I know, close to what Karanja was saying, is that in the first place, these guys had never ever had a plan at all of even coming close to together to run together. Actually, what they did when they found themselves, you know, back together as four guys who were intending to run for the presidency, but they were running after a horse that had already bolted and was so far, and so to give each other morale, you know, to keep on running, they had to come up together with this show. But otherwise, if you look at everything, and you remember I questioned on the day when they were in Bomas, and then they came to Serena. At Serena, nobody went to append their signature, and then nothing was even read there. What we just saw are four guys holding folders saying that this is the new document that was never read. Okay. So I would want to say to my good friend Mutula Kilonzo Junior, my friends, you know, please, this game, Kenyans, one, are tired. Two, you can only play this fool's game for so long. I mean, why you're saying that you are going to be announcing somebody, you announce somebody.
Let's come to the senator now. Let's come to the senator.
So call it for what it is, determine,
and do it now.
And you can't win alone, you know that.
Of course, the Wiper Party has really tried, and listening to the Secretary General Hassan Omar, the party has really tried to downplay the remarks by Honorable Nyenze. You really tried. But surely, given the recent history, that whatever Francis Nyenze says turns out to be true, and it's not once, not twice, it's a few more times. Give me a reason, or give us a reason why we should dismiss or disregard what Francis Nyenze said yesterday, that actually it's 7 days, or you will bolt out, and Kalonzo Musyoka and the Wiper Party will go it alone. Give us a reason to actually disregard that.
Let me just say this, that the sentiments expressed by Honorable Francis Nyenze yesterday surprised me a lot. First as Vice Chairman Wiper and as a member, and Senator Makwani. Number two, yesterday the National Executive Council, which is the organ mandated to make statements on behalf of the party, was meeting. And therefore, when Francis Nyenze issues a statement alone in parliament buildings, it should not be construed to be a statement of neck.
But he has previously done so.
It wasn't. Let me say I'm extremely embarrassed by him in the sort of ultimatums he's issuing, because that ultimatum eventually will result in nothing. Because he is well aware that the 4 principals signed a document which they deposited with the registrar of political parties. It's called the NASA instrument, which bound them together. What disappoints me about what they are doing, and personally think this is the time to disband that committee of, I don't know whether they are 16. Because in any negotiation, whether it's negotiation of this one or any other negotiation, the first rule that you make as members is to not to issue statements about what you are negotiating. To the extent, irrespective of who they agree, to the extent that they are issuing statements themselves as members of that coordinating committee, to that extent alone they have let down their alliance. To that extent alone they should be disbanded. I've said and I repeat that the 4 principals, Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, Wetangula and Musalia, the buck stops with them. They should disband this committee, go and sit somewhere away from everybody else, their allies, switch off their phones, and agree on what they need to do if they want this coalition to continue. But to give ultimatums that don't make sense, like this one, and to even give NASA another acronym, is in extreme bad taste. To call the NASA Nyanza, it's derogatory. We cannot use such statements when you want to build a coalition. What is a coalition? A coalition is people who have agreed to work together. Even if you wanted to negotiate, you don't negotiate by hurling insults at people. You know, we still live in this country. Whether you end up working together or not, we will still live in this country with people from Nyanza. You can't make that statement. I want to say I disassociate myself completely with Francis Nyanza and his ultimatum, because it's in extreme bad taste for him to issue such statements. And I'm told he might even apologize for making such utterances.
There is in fact a statement.
And if he apologizes, I expect him to offer a resignation as a member of that committee. If he doesn't do so, I am going to demand that he comes out of that committee. Because for us, the rest of the sane members of WIPA, like myself, who carries my brain to meetings, we look very bad. The sort of messages I'm receiving on my phone associating with such statements as if we agreed you would issue that statement is false. And therefore, my party leader should rein in on this gentleman. Because even if we wanted a spokesman on behalf of WIPA, it will not be him to make that statement. Even if we wanted to make a statement, we will not make a statement like that. But even then, if a committee where you work together, they should deliver a document. And they say, this committee has agreed unanimously, or we have disagreed unanimously. Before you interrupt, before you give me a red shirt, let me just tell you, you disagree or agree.
Yes.
And you hand over a document or a report and say, we have disagreed.
Yes.
Or we have agreed. Or we have unanimity, or we have discord. You know, you can disagree. And then leave it to the principals. When Nyanza issues a statement like that one, who is he issuing that statement to?
Yes.
But Fred, you see, the offer of Matangi Senator Kiambu.
Senator, let's do it in an orderly fashion because our time is up. So allow me to give Bwana Kabage an opportunity to say, give your final remarks. If you choose to address the WIPA issue as well, it's okay. But this is your final remark.
I want to say that this country needs to sit down. The entire leadership of the country needs to look at what can we do to grow the economy of our country. Because at the end of the day, the Kenyans want to improve their standard of living. And we also want to make sure that there is equity. And equity here means that the people of this country must pay their proportionate contribution of tax. Proportionate contribution of their tax. Because I subscribe very strongly to the fact that this country needs to borrow very little money, particularly to fund our recurrent expenditure.
That's true.
Okay. And on that note, I like to say it is incumbent upon the senators who are looked upon as men and women of distinction. They come up with a way forward as far as the future of this country's funding of our budget is concerned.
Thank you.
Because I know we can be able to produce the kind of economy that we need in this country. Finally, Kenya's economy, for your information, even this particular budget, it is about 94% of the entire East African, of the other 4 countries. So this is not a small economy, but it has very many demands. It has very many what? Demands. Finally, I want to call for prudential use and management of taxpayers' funds.
Okay. Thank you, Bwana Karanja Kabali.
Sure. Yeah, just what I want to say in my closing remarks. So first is precisely what we said, that the budget must be about the 42 million of us, and the bulk of us, the more than 40 million who live down at the lowest bracket of our lives, and that is the common man. It must address the issues of our people who are farming in small scale, to our hawkers, to the people on the street, to the women in the marketplace. Those are the owners of the budget. Yes. The rest of us are really just a very, very small figure. If that budget does not talk about how that woman will be affected by it when she goes to sell her burgers in the market. Yes. It does not talk about how the man in Thika now, or in Wangige market, who is selling those burgers or mayai, how they are going to be leveraging that budget. Then that budget will be not addressing the issues that are there. So those that are concerned in the KRA, the ministry, and everybody else, and especially the ones that collect our taxes, must address themselves to that. Two, I want to say to my good friend here that indeed, we also must pay with respect the honor that Kenyans have given to us to lead them as political leaders. And I want to say to Senator Mutula Kalonzo, yes, I hear you precisely when you speak so strongly about the comments about Nyenze. But he's expressing what most Kenyans know. That this charade has gone on for too long. You have kept the country, the political leadership of the country, because you have hyped so much talk, you have said so many things, you have sent so much heat waves into the political air, and talking about like you can do things. There's this, we are going to streamline this. This corrupt. And then you cannot be able to simply agree on basic issues like leadership between four men. But let me finalize,
right? Because you won't get another chance.
Yes, so that I make my final comment.
So I do make you.
We need to leave.
NASA, I believe now it is time to call the game up. You started as 4 individuals pursuing individual interest, and now you're not able to find edges along which you can coalesce. Go it alone. Okay. Each one of you, the 4 of you.
Finally. Thank you, Senator Amatangi. Finally, Senator.
This is what I've said before, that in any negotiation, you negotiate with cards on the table, you negotiate in good faith, etc., etc. I've said you must live in this country. Even if you disagree, you must live in this country. He wants to be Senator Nakuru, he wants to be Senator Kiambu. You never know what you're going to do in future. While you're negotiating, you cannot use derogatory language against other people. This is just simply what I'm saying. It's called common sense manners. You can't just issue statements that way. On the budget, because politics is not the end of life, but we must maintain some element of decorum when you are at a certain age. You must speak wisdom. You must speak wisdom and keep people together even if you want to disagree. You know, you must have it. That's what I'm saying. It's common decency to respect Karanja Kabage and where he comes from even if you disagree with him. That's how you end up being a statesman. In this, we were looking for statesmen. We're not just looking for personal interests. I've said if they're carrying their selfish interests as 4 principles, they'll carry their selfish interests into the sea. This country is going to move beyond them because we are here to take over leadership where they have failed. But on the budget, I want to say that, like Wamatangi, we must move to a place where C.S. Rotich, with his Harvard degree, speaks to ordinary Kenyans. You know, you make it simple. All these lofty statements must be reduced into something that is half an hour of simple. You know, when you read the budget speech, even if it's 2 hours, you reduce it into one small little thing that says, in summary, to Mama Mboga, this is what I'm saying. If you can use Kiswahili, you speak in Kiswahili and say, from today onwards, you're going to suffer less in this respect, in this respect, and in this respect. And therefore then be able to relate to Kenyans.
Yes.
Thank you.
The very last one.
Yes.
I would like to very respectably ask the family of NASA to give mandate to Mheshimiwa Senator and my fellow learned colleague the mandate to actually write the obituary of NASA.
On that note, we wrap up our news review this morning.
I refuse.
Thank you so much, Bwana Karanja Kabage, analyst and also aspirant for the Nakuru Senate seat. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Senator Makueni County, and Kimani Wamatangi, Senator Kiambu County, helping us look at the headlines this morning.
Thank you.
My name is Freddie Ndimuli. My colleagues Joey Mutengi and Willis Waburu still have a lot more. Remember, it's Thursday, so Chef Ali will be making some breakfast. Unfortunately, Senator's not today. Probably another time. For today, Willis Waburu will still get to enjoy the breakfast alone. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Good morning.